Let's take a quick look at what's happening in the morning newspapers. Joining us is Rochelle de Kock, editor of the Herald. And you'll have to forgive Tooms and I, Rochelle, as the papers we get, they're not actually the full-blown newspapers you would buy in the store. They're quite a bit smaller. So if I'm staring at the paper like this, don't judge me.
I see those tweets and those WhatsApp messages I get about
it's small. You can't see that. So, Rochelle, good to have you with us. We'll talk about the Herald newspaper in just a moment. So the Pretoria News, Minister, I love this. I'm actually so glad, Rochelle, I have you on this, because I was talking to Tooms about this.
Yeah.
The Minister denies the water shortage crisis despite rationing, saying that they are aware of water problems, but there's not a crisis. It begs the question, doesn't it, as we look at the Pretoria News, Rochelle, at what point does not having enough water become a crisis?
Yes, absolutely. You know, the thing is, Gareth and Tumelo, is that there is a water crisis in SA. We are a water scarce country. I mean, we can't run away from that fact. And if I just think about what's happening in Nelson Mandela Bay, where by December, half of the city would be without water, and we're still being told it's not a crisis. That tells me that unfortunately, the people in charge of water, you know, our water authorities are completely just in denial, really, because there's no real solution, it would appear, to the crisis, a very real crisis that we are facing. Well, in the case of Gauteng, I know that there's going to be, as I said, a 54-hour planned water interruptions, but that's how it generally starts. But from our understanding is that, you know, this is obviously to augment supply and you know, increase the ability to get more water to the Vereniging purification plant. But then also we have to really talk about the real issue of, you know, demand for water really exceeding the supply. I think at a national level,
right,
we really are sitting with a crisis.
Yeah, indeed, and it is a call for concern, even though apparently, according to Susan Mkhunu there, it's not a crisis. I want to move on to the Witness newspaper now, Rochelle, leading with "I want justice for my wife." Shocking details have emerged of violence at hearing into July unrest in Pietermaritzburg, and we're hearing more and more testimonies, right, Rochelle? Gruesome testimonies about how, you know, loved ones lost, you know, their loved ones, you know, people lost their loved ones' lives, and here is a husband wanting justice for his wife.
Yeah, look, what's coming out of those Human Rights Commission national investigative hearings are absolutely shocking. I think we're now starting to hear the full extent of just what mayhem, you know, unfolded there. There's talk of, you know, a 16-year-old boy that, you know, that was shot and died on his way to hospital. There's talk of a mother carrying a 2-month-old baby that was shot at, and, you know, they talk about how they were blocked. The ambulances were blocked from entering, you know, some of the areas, particularly this Khan Road informal settlements in Pietermaritzburg, where, you know, residents say that security companies were giving residents from other areas around the informal settlements to use live ammunition and not rubber bullets. I really hope that, you know, we'll be able to get down to the bottom of exactly what transpired, because what is coming out of those hearings is absolutely shocking, and definitely deserves a bigger spotlight.
It certainly does, and we're going to keep a spotlight on that as well with Des and Tathia. We know he's been following that. Rochelle, let's end off with your newspaper this morning, the Herald, your front page. Just a quick good luck wish to everyone taking part in Ironman this coming weekend. Tumi and I are going to be taking part in Ironman next year. So yeah, Toom's going to do the 3.8k swim. You do the 180k cycle and the run, and I'll get you a beer at the end.
I'll
support you.
I know you support me.
But sadly, desperate shortage of special needs schools is what you're running with. The last minute we have with you, Rochelle.
Yeah. Yes, no, look, there's only 7 schools for special needs in Nelson Mandela Bay area. But the sad thing is, you know, we've got 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds and 13-year-olds, and, you know, that are sitting at home. They're not getting an education because there's simply not enough space. I mean, we're talking about a 2 to 3 year waiting period just to get into a school. And, you know, the sad thing is that kids with special need specialized education. And there's just not enough schools and also not enough educators that are able to provide that specialized schooling. So as a result, these children are just, left out, and their parents are, they don't know what to do. They've got to keep them at home, because when they go into mainstream schooling, they're just not coping, and they're deemed naughty children, because they, autistic or some of the other special needs requirements.
Yeah, that's such an important story there to highlight. And I just wonder that even with all the online learning that we talk about, has it been considered, for children with special needs, and how that would work should they then not go into like a physical infrastructure school?
Yeah, a friend of mine is actually an au pair for a special needs child, and trying to do the online schooling at home because of the attention span.
Right.
And because bearing in mind, sitting on a laptop doing schooling is a stimulation. And for those children with, for example, autism, it's very difficult to do. It's a good point, though. I think we should actually speak to someone about that. But Rochelle, it's always such a pleasure.
Always.
Good luck with you taking part in Ironman this weekend. We're rooting for you, of course. And we'll talk again. We'll talk again next week. Rochelle de Kock, Herald newspaper editor. Always a pleasure having you with us.